Before the WWE Money in the Bank event takes place on Sunday night, the superstars of NXT will take center stage to put on what will be another weekend stealing event. 1 year ago, at the inaugural NXT Takeover event in Chicago, the most heated rivalry in NXT began. And at this year's show, the two men involved will highlight the card in a rematch from their initial bout at NXT Takeover New Orleans during WrestleMania 34 weekend. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa will be placed in the main event of the show, with their second match coming up likely to be even more violent than the one that took place WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the NXT TakeOver Chicago card, as well as the card for WWE Money in the Bank. Hello, friends, and welcome to this very special edition of the Wrestling Forum. I am your ridiculously over good brother, Anthony Florio, joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We got the Twisted Angel, D.D. Woodson. The Phenom Michael Bullock will probably be coming in late, as usual. When he does, we'll catch him up on what he missed. So, without any further ado, let's dive right on in to the card for NXT TakeOver Chicago 2, which will take place tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, on the WWE Network, from the All-State Arena, formerly the Rosemont Horizon, in Rosemont, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. And we're going to start it off. What a way to start it off here. A show stealer match right here. But then again, 5 matches on this card. All 5 have potential to be show stealers. But this one has gathered so much excitement from the NXT universe. And what a way to start it off here, with 2 of the brightest young stars in the business today, the Velveteen Dream and Ricochet. Looking for a possible show stealer coming out of the TakeOver and Money in the Bank events? Look no further. The athleticism of this duo is otherworldly, and the few sequences where we've seen them work together have been stellar. Before Lars Sullivan inserted himself into the NXT Championship picture, both Velveteen Dream and Ricochet let their championship aspirations be known. They butted heads in the process, and a rivalry between 2 of NXT's brightest young stars was born. The potential for this bout is sky high, and I think the winner will very likely put themselves in position for an NXT Championship match down the road. Very tough to pick a winner, but I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to go with Ricochet to win this match. So there's really nothing more for me to say on this except MF. I mean, if you want to get a crowd red hot and white hot going in, you want to get the crowd on their feet, at the start of the show, I can't think of a better way to start it off than a potential 5-star here.
Are you kidding me? I hate to say this. This might steal the entire show. This might be the fight of the night with the way that these 2 men go. Who knows? This might even overshadow Gargano versus Ciampa too. I mean, that's how good this level of competition is. I've been very high on the Velveteen Dream. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows how much I've been drinking the Kool-Aid on him. But let me tell you, if there's one other guy who definitely has had my heart and who's definitely caught my attention, it has been Ricochet. The promos for these 2 guys, the way that they've been going at it lately, the front flip onto the NXT stage outside the ring, basically daring them to do something. Shut up and take my money. That's it. No, there's really nothing more to say. This is going to be, without a doubt, one of the best matches of the evening, maybe of the entire card. And yeah, you want the show to start wicked hot, you throw these 2 men right at it, man. You're gonna be left gasping for air, for heaven's sake. That's how good this match is gonna be. At the end of the day, maybe Ricochet gets the victory here. I could also see Velveteen Dream steal it in order to maybe continue the feud, but it really depends. That's all I got to say. I mean, this is one of the toughest matches to call all night. I'm going to go with Anthony. I'm going to say Ricochet wins, but I would not be stunned if the Velveteen Dream steals this fight, maybe to prolong the storyline a little more, to give us another battle down the line that's going to be maybe just as good, maybe even better. Who knows? But we'll see. So, Didi Woodson, come on in. Give me your thoughts on what I believe could be the fight of the night.
Yeah, it probably will be the fight of the night, and I'm going to go with all of you and say Ricochet. So I'm not going to say too much more about it. So, Florio, it's yours.
And we move on to the first of our 3 championship matches. This one for the NXT Tag Team Championship, the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly defending the titles against the randomly thrown together tag team of Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. MF, I mean, how do we feel about this one?
I feel pretty safe to say Undisputed Era wins the match. I'm pretty comfortable with that decision, even though, yes, I know these two guys just got thrown together, but they've been looking pretty good lately. They earned the right to get the shot at the title, but come on. Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, I mean, 2 of the most well-established professional wrestlers we got in the world today. I got nothing bad to say about either one of these gentlemen. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be a solid fight. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry. I just don't see how Undisputed Era does not win this match. I mean, I'm not going to go as far to call it the lock of the night. I mean, I think I would be a little naive, and even almost to the point where I know Floyd would raise the eyebrow on me and saying, really? You're really saying that these guys have no hope? Well, anything can happen in NXT, but let's say I'm about 90% sure that the Undisputed Era is going to win this fight. I'm going to go that much. I do leave the door open for an upset, but I just think Undisputed Era is just going to find a way, maybe even cheat to win. But Undisputed Era should successfully defend the titles. So nothing more to say. Didi, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Undisputed Era is more likely going to walk out with the championship just like they walked in with it. So, Florio, I'm going to toss it to you.
Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch have long been 2 of the most underrated performers in NXT. Their high-octane, stiff style is a joy to watch, and in each of their first TakeOver matches this weekend, they'll finally get their chance on a big stage. Their tag title opportunity comes on the heels of Burch's pinfall victory over Kyle O'Reilly in a 6-man tag match last month. While Roderick Strong and O'Reilly battle Lorcan and Burch, the intriguing aspect of this bout will be the usage of Undisputed Era leader and North American champion Adam Cole and UK champion Pete Dunne, who has sided with the challengers. Neither Cole nor Dunne are on the TakeOver card, so their involvement is likely. The Lorcan-Burch story has been fun, and they are fantastic performers, but the Undisputed Era's aura is largely due to their possession of championships, and it seems premature to change that. So let's make it unanimous one more time. I have the Undisputed Era as the winners and still the NXT Tag Team Champions. Let's move on now to the NXT Women's Championship matchup. Champion Shayna Baszler defending the title against Nikki Cross. Didi Woodson right on cue. I mean, it's only fitting we start this one off with you. You are our women's wrestling expert after all. So potential show stealer here?
Possibly, yeah. Both these girls, from my opinion, are pretty good. I mean, of course, NXT is still a training show, but yeah, these girls, I think they have what it takes to steal the show. Maybe not as much as some of the other NXTs that's come up, but enough to where this could be maybe even a sleeper fight of the night. So I don't think Nikki's going to win it this time around. Maybe later in this feud, since this could possibly be the start of a feud with these girls. But I'm going to go with Shayna retaining. So, Floria, I'm going to toss it over to you.
Since her arrival to NXT, Shayna Baszler has played the role of the bully to perfection. In her NXT debut, she snuck up behind Kairi Sane and choked her out, setting the tone of the character she'd be portraying. She went on to capitalize on every cheap shot made available to her, instill fear within the division, and defeat Ember Moon to become NXT Women's Champion and take hold of the division. One superstar wasn't buying in, though. Following a successful title defense against Dakota Kai last month, Baszler continued the onslaught on a helpless Kai and her Nikki Cross, who had not been featured on television too much since her Sanity comrades shifted over to SmackDown Live. Cross's bizarre antics rattled the ruthless Baszler, and the following week, she took the fight to the champ, leaving her with a bloody lip. Cross has been positioned as the savior of the women's division, and she's clearly championship material. However, the new look NXT women's division revolves around Shayna Baszler's tyranny, and that story has just begun. So there's only one way this can go. Winner and still NXT women's champion, the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. Let's go on to MF now. And MF, I mean, you talked about certain NXT talents you're high on, but there's when it comes, well, that's on the men's side, but when it comes to the women, I don't believe there's not one talent in this division that you're higher on than Nikki Cross.
Absolutely. And Nikki deserves the opportunity at the title. She gets the opportunity tomorrow night in Chicago. No doubt about it. I'm excited for her, but this is probably not her time. Not yet. I agree with Dee Woodson. This is not her moment. I do believe that the Ace of Spades, or the Queen of Spades, as you call her, Shayna Baszler, should successfully defend the title here. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be a scrappy fight. And this could be a knockdown, drag-out brawl. This is not going to be a technical wrestling match because Shayna Baszler is not that kind of girl. And Nikki Cross is definitely not that kind of girl either. This is going to be a woman fight. This is going to be a in-your-face, smash mouth, basically... you're going to see very little holds to be done here. I think it's going to be basically MMA style Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu you're going to see from Shayna Baszler, and you're going to see a brawler type style that would be almost a European brawler type style that you would see from Nikki Cross. So, I mean, it's going to be one of those kind of fights. It's not going to be one that's going to be technical where you're going to see a lot of holds here. You might. I would be surprised if you do, but I think it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, in your face brawl, and that's the kind of fights I like. Don't get me wrong. Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock are the technical guys. I'm kind of the MMA. I like that ground and pound, get in your face, beat you up, leave that bloody lip like what happened a few weeks ago on NXT television where Shayna Baszler tasted her own blood. I think that's what we're going to see. I think the referee is going to have a moment where he's going to have to pull the gloves out to protect his hands, because I think we might see some internal blood here. So, this is going to be one of those kind of fights. I'm going to like this. So, nothing more to say. Shayna wins, but don't expect this to be a conventional wrestling match. Florio, it's yours.
And now we move on to the NXT Championship matchup. The champion, Aleister Black, defending the title against Lars Sullivan. When Aleister Black's most recent foe, former NXT champion Andrade Cien Almas, made the transition to SmackDown Live, a major opportunity presented itself. Black was in need of a challenger, and superstars were quick to jump at that opportunity. Ricochet and the Velveteen Dream voiced their championship intentions, but it was the massive Lars Sullivan's actions that spoke louder than words. Sullivan solidified himself as the number one contender with a win over both Ricochet and Velveteen Dream in a handicap match last month. Since that match, Sullivan has played the part of the insurmountable challenger wonderfully. During his initial interaction with Black on NXT TV, Black attempted his patented Black Mass spinning heel kick on the big man, but Sullivan caught Black's foot with one hand, asserting his dominance. He proceeded to deliver his freak accident slam. Black addressed the situation on the go-home episode of NXT, saying, Sullivan will soon realize that nothing is too powerful and that his carnage is not imminent because he will simply fade to black. That brought Sullivan back out, who maintained a physical advantage over the champion. Black attempted some strikes, but was overpowered and met with 3 more freak accident slams. Sullivan posed with the title and established himself as a legitimate threat to Black's championship. While Sullivan is being presented as a true threat, it seems a bit early for Aleister Black to drop the title unless he's off to the main roster. This will be Aleister Black's first TakeOver title defense since winning the gold in New Orleans, and a substantial reign would seem likely for the superstar NXT has built its current brand around. Only one way this goes, winner and still your NXT champion, Aleister Black. MF, what do you say?
I agree. I think Aleister Black will successfully defend the NXT Championship. I think it's going to be a solid performance, to say the very least. He had one hell of a title fight with Andrade Cien Almas when he won the NXT Championship. And it just was, it was the start of what we thought was going to be a great run with him. And at the end of the day, look, I have so much respect for Aleister Black, and Lars Sullivan really impressed me in the ladder match for the first ever NXT North American champion, and how unbelievable he performed in that match. At the end of the day, though, I think Aleister Black will find a way to get it. He'll get the black mask on Lars Sullivan, and thus I think he will indeed successfully defend the NXT title and win the match. It's going to be a great performance. It's going to be a great match. But at the end of the day, I think the champion will remain the champion. Didi Woodson, it's all yours, my love.
I'm going to make it unanimous and go with Aleister Black. So you guys pretty much covered it all. So Florio, it's yours.
And now we move on to the main event of the evening, the street fight. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Man alive. I mean, Johnny Wrestling, a Sicilian psychopath. MF, it's only fitting we start this with you because you are our port authority on hardcore matches. And I know you and how much you love your hardcore, you and Derek, all of your love for the old ECW. And this is right up your alley, man. This is be a man at its finest here.
You don't even realize how epic this fight is going to be. You thought the unsanctioned match was crazy and psychotic. Here's a food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. This fight was originally was supposed to have been last man standing before AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura got this fight. This was the original last man standing fight, and let me tell you, if that would have been it, oh my God. But even though a hardcore match, Chicago street fight, is still going to be violent. It's still going to be bad. It's still going to be, you thought they pushed the boundaries when on an unsanctioned fight? Imagine what they're going to do now in a actual sanctioned street fight. Falls count anywhere. Well, no. The fight has to end in the ring regardless. I don't think it is false count anywhere. I think it's just regular one-on-one, anything goes, basically no DQ, no count out, but the fight has to end in the ring. Okay. Now I've heard some rumors going around that Candice LeRae is supposed to have a major influence on the outcome of this fight. And as very much so, there was some rumors going around that she's going to betray her husband, Johnny Gargano, and actually end up being associated with Tommaso Ciampa. If that happens, the nuclear heat that's going to be raging in Chicago tomorrow night is going to be one for the ages. But I got to go with this because of the fact that because Gargano won the first fight, because Gargano won that first battle, the non-sanctioned fight where that was basically the fight for his career, the fight for his life, and he won that match. I truly believe Ciampa wins this one because I think what they're gonna do is have the rubber fight, the kill-off at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn when they fight on SummerSlam weekend. I think that's going to be the kill-off, and that'll be the end of it. But as of now, I'm going to go with Tommaso Ciampa to win this match to even up the series at one apiece because of Candice LeRae and her interference. Didi Woodson, I give it to you.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one, that Ciampa's going to win. Yeah, Gargano did win the first one, so, you know, it would seem fitting. And, yeah, if his wife actually turns on him to go with Ciampa, you know, it would make a lot more sense to have Ciampa coming out on top. So not much more I have to say about it. Florio, I toss it to you.
It was the closing moments of last year's TakeOver event in Chicago that cemented a lasting memory and began one of the most personal and compelling WWE rivalries of the past decade. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were among the most popular tag teams on any brand under the WWE umbrella. Their chemistry together was uncanny. They performed with fierce excitement, and the fans loved them for it. The former NXT Tag Team Champions headed into the main event last year looking to regain those tag team titles from the Authors of Pain. What followed was a highly physical ladder match that saw DIY come up short, but that wasn't the real story. Just as it appeared, TakeOver was going off the air, with Gargano and Ciampa posing on the entrance stage, seemingly enjoying one last moment in NXT before their main roster call-up. Ciampa became the ultimate villain with a sudden and vicious attack on his now former tag team partner. While Ciampa recovered from a significant and legitimate leg injury, the attack haunted Gargano in the ensuing months. He struggled to gain traction in his pursuit of a singles career with NXT championship aspirations, and just when it appeared he had righted the ship, Ciampa returned to drag him back down. After an extended feud with then NXT champion Andrade Cien Almas, Gargano was given a final chance to realize his dream and become champion. However, if he lost, he'd be forced to leave NXT. As Gargano was seconds away from tapping Almas out, Ciampa emerged and delivered a crutch shot to Gargano's back, causing him to lose the match. Gargano's year-long journey was built with an impending collision with Ciampa in mind. That collision ended up turning into a Match of the Year candidate at TakeOver New Orleans, a match Gargano won to quote-unquote win his job back. Many storylines would have ended right there, but this isn't one of them. It couldn't be. The drama continued and got even more personal when Gargano's wife, Candice LeRae, inserted herself into the conflict, pleading for the madness to end. As a result, during a scuffle between Gargano and Ciampa a few weeks back, Ciampa shoved Gargano off the ring apron directly onto LeRae, knocking her out cold and taking the war to a whole new level. Gargano got a measure of revenge a week ago with a blistering attack on Ciampa, the final build to tomorrow night's street fight. Ciampa seems due for a win, and a win would elevate what has already become a vile character even further. The build would seem to indicate that Gargano's obsession with revenge, even at the expense of his family, will cost him in the end. So, as has been the theme throughout this whole thing, once again, we will make this unanimous. I got the Sicilian psychopath, Tommaso Ciampa, winning this match. Michael Bullock, come on in. We got to catch you up. We just ran down the NXT card. So let's get your quick thoughts on it before we get into Money in the Bank. Started off with the match between Ricochet and the Velveteen Dream.
All right, this ought to be a good match here, and I like what I've seen from Ricochet, and especially also from Velveteen Dream. But I'm gonna go with Ricochet here to win this match.
NXT Tag Team Championship on the line. We have the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong defending the titles against Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch.
Yeah, I got the Undisputed Era winning and retaining the NXT Tag Team titles.
Shayna Baszler defending the NXT Women's Championship against Nikki Cross.
I know some people feel like I think this could be Nikki Cross's time as much as I think it could be, because she's had many chances before and she's missed out. But I just think it's too soon to take the title off Shayna Baszler. So the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, is still your NXT Women's Champion.
And then the NXT Championship matchup, Aleister Black defending against Lars Sullivan.
I got Aleister Black retaining his NXT title.
And then the main event of the evening, the match that I know for a fact, Bullock, you're going to have the most vested interest in.
Oh, yeah.
The street fight. Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, the Sicilian Psychopath, Tommaso Ciampa. Have at it.
Oh, boy. This one I'm really looking forward to. And this, to me, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. I think this has been the rivalry of the year. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, this has become so personal. It's even got Johnny Gargano's wife, Candice LeRae, involved in this. And as you saw, Floria, when he got the contract for that street fight, Candice was none too pleased about it. But, you know, Gargano was going to go about it. But in the end, I think this is going to be the fight of the night. No doubt about it. Could it top what we saw at TakeOver New Orleans? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But, man, I'm going to go with Tommaso Ciampa to win this one. I got a feeling that Candice LeRae is going to try to stop this, and in the end, I think it's going to cost Johnny Gargano, and Ciampa will get his measure of revenge.
Alrighty, so that's the rundown for the NXT TakeOver Chicago 2. So with that being said, now we move on to the other big show, an event that has been known to change careers, change lives, and you know, we've seen 16 out of 19 times we've seen the cash-ins. 16 times a new champion crowned. Only 3 have failed. And we're going to find out. We're going to find out who comes out of this. Which man and which woman will come out as Mr. and Miss Money in the Bank. So, of course, as we all know, there is a pre-show match. That pre-show match will be for, well, before we get into that, there's a time difference here now. These WWE co-branded pay-per-views from now on will be starting at 7 Eastern time, with the pre-show at 6. And on this pre-show, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships will be on the line, as the Bludgeon Brothers will defend the titles against the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. I'm going to take a wild guess here. We're all in agreement that the Bludgeons are going to successfully defend here. Am I right on this? I think we can make that unanimous here, right here and now. So I don't even think we need to get into that match. After all, it is a pre-show match, even though it is a championship match. I think I do believe. I think we all believe the Bludgeons will go over and that's all there is to say on that. So we're just gonna start it off with the first match of the card, and we're gonna start it off with Monday Night Raw. And well, I'll be honest, the Raw side of this card, well, I don't know. I don't really have a good feeling about it, especially this matchup here. Bobby Lashley squaring off against Sami Zayn. And Michael Bullock, let's start it off with you here. I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, this is a feud that's at the point of go away. All these horrible segments that we've had to sit through and endure on Monday Night Raw over the last few months, from the Bobby Lashley quote unquote sister segment to apologies and obstacle courses. Finally, it comes to an end. Michael Bullock, come on in. Let's start it off with you here. Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn, as we kick off the Money in the Bank side of things.
I'm not going to waste my time with this. I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley to win this match. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say. And I'm going to say by default, this is going to be the worst fight of the night. So I'm just going to move on to Dee Woodson.
I'm going to agree that it's Bobby Lashley. I'm to the point that I want to see this just go away. I think most people do. Zayn's tried to make this personal, but at the same time, he's pretty much kind of made this kind of a stupid fight. So, yeah, let's just get it over with, push it out of the way. In my opinion, this one here should have been on the pre-show and move the SmackDown titles onto the main card. But that's just my opinion. So I'm not going to say too much more. I mean, it's kind of a waste of time. So, Florio, it's yours.
Couldn't agree with you more. I want this to be the last time we talk anything about the Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn rivalry anytime soon. Between the Bobby Lashley sisters segment, accusations of stolen valor, and weak attempts to prop Lashley up with U.S. patriotic pride, you could not have done much worse in giving fans a proper reason to care about both men, honestly. But I agree, Bobby Lashley, but to put this whole thing to bed, both of these guys deserve so much better, especially Bobby Lashley. I mean, here's a guy who came in from TNA. When he was in TNA, he was known as Walking Armageddon. He was beating people left and right, taking names, dominating as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion on multiple occasions. He was basically the baddest man in TNA. He was the most dangerous man in TNA. But then he came to WWE, and what have they done to him? They made him SAWFT, soft. I don't think I need to go any further than that. So I think Lashley will get the win here, but hopefully both of these guys will move on to bigger and better things, because damn it to hell, both of those guys deserve way much better than what they're getting right now. Are we agreed on that?
Absolute disappointment. One of the most who care fight of the evening. I'll give you Bobby Lashley. I'm not going to go any more further than that. Anthony, just take it.
Indeed. So, and then this would have been with a tag title fight winning, but we all agree the Bludgeons will go on. So now let's move on to the SmackDown Women's Championship matchup. The champion, Carmella, putting the title on the line against the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. Dee Woodson, only fitting we started with you here. Carmella is one of two women on your hit list. The other, of course, being Alexa Bliss. We'll get into her later. But I know who you want to win. But honestly, who do you think will win?
For me, it actually is a hard choice because Carmella really hasn't had the title for very long. Yeah, I would hate to have to say that she would be the pick I would have, because I think Asuka could take her down and take this title, and I think it is Asuka's time. But unless they make Carmella, Well, I wouldn't say paper champion because she's defended it a few times, but a very short term champion, then I'd have to go with Asuka. So I don't have a preference on this because I think it could go either way, but I'm going to go ahead and say Carmella only because of the fact that she has not had the title for very long, and I regret saying that so much because it makes me want to throw up to say it. So let's just go on. Take it.
On paper, this is about as lopsided a matchup as you could get. Asuka, even as she struggled to build much momentum after the end of her 2-year winning streak at WrestleMania, is a physical force to be reckoned with. Despite a pair of wins over Charlotte Flair, it's still hard to consider Carmella as much more than a paper champion with a lot left to prove. Unless someone else gets involved, Asuka is walking out with the championship in hand. But there are a lot of directions it could go. That being said, I'm going to agree with Didi. I'm going to say Carmella will be your winner and still SmackDown Women's Champion, whether it's the Iconics, Absolution, or an old chinless friend. Carmella does not seem likely to drop the title this quickly, even though it might be for the best for the SmackDown Women's division from an in-ring perspective to put the title on Asuka. But for right now, I'm going to say Carmella gets it done. It could be the Iconics. It could be Absolution. I don't know. We'll see. But I got Carmella successfully defending the SmackDown Women's Championship. Let's move on to our Port Authority on SmackDown Live. Mr. SmackDown himself, good old MF Michael Fletcher, MF. How do you see this SmackDown Women's title bout going down?
I agree. Carmella wins the title. Carmella successfully defends it. It's gonna be it's not gonna be the best match, but Asuka can definitely give Carmella a run for her money, and she could actually give Carmella her best match as women's champion. I think she can definitely pull that off. I think we saw how good she was with Charlotte, how they worked together at WrestleMania, and even though the vulnerability or the invincibility of Asuka is gone, I think a lot of people kind of felt like for her to lose that fight and not get the title at WrestleMania, some people thought, could that have been a mistake? Maybe in one sense, but it also is a factor that, nobody's indestructible. And look, she had a great run. Not only with the streak and everything else. I mean, 226 consecutive victories. That's nothing to sneeze at all. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens down the line. But I think as a standpoint, storyline and whatnot, it would make sense for Carmella to win. Of course, Anthony, you said in wrestling talent, Asuka can run circles around her at any day of the week if they wanted to. But I would probably say give it to Carmella, let her keep it a little while longer, and then we'll see where the chips fall where they may. Maybe Asuka gets it down the line, but right now, the best route to go is have her lose now and then maybe get a bigger payoff maybe at SummerSlam sometime down the line. So right now, I would say Carmella for now successfully defends the title and remains the SmackDown Women's Champion. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I agree. I gotta go with Carmella as well to retain the SmackDown women's title. I mean, I think Asuka could give her, could maybe make her look good here, but I get this feeling we're gonna get a screwy finish here. And like Florio said, it could be the Iconics, could be Absolution that could interfere, and that's where Carmella will take advantage of it. So nothing else that needs to be said. Winner and still SmackDown Women's Champion, Carmella. So nothing else to say. Let's just move right along, Florio.
And we will move on to another match from SmackDown Live. this is a return match from last month's god awful Backlash pay-per-view. This is the match on the SmackDown side of things that we can honestly say we're not really all that excited about. We saw it before. Who knows what it will be like this time? Daniel Bryan one-on-one with Big Cass. I could go all night. I could go on and on about why this rivalry has been an absolute waste of Daniel Bryan's momentum and still have plenty of room to work with. But I'm gonna park it here with this. Bryan's shocking return to action could have carried SmackDown Live through 2018, giving us epic 25 plus minute matches against the likes of AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Samoa Joe. You could have hopped right into an intensely personal showdown against The Miz that could carry through months of storytelling based on a long history. But it has essentially been forgotten in recent weeks. Instead, he has been used to try to prop up Big Cass, who has been a wayward, wandering soul since a terrible rivalry against his former tag team partner, Enzo Amore, and an injury that cost him the better part of the year. Big Cass could easily be tearing his way up from the bottom of the SmackDown pecking order on up, rebuilding his reputation along the way. But instead, he has been thrust into a rivalry in which he has been outclassed in every way, shape, and form by Daniel Bryan. Cass's delivery is as stiff as if it was being read directly off the page. And despite a few solid moves in his arsenal, he's still finding himself in the ring. The thought of having to ease Bryan back into action is a joke as well, as is evidenced by his matches against AJ Styles and Rusev, as well as his Iron Man performance in the Greatest Royal Rumble. And if for some reason the WWE is trying to garner the same kind of fan angst that brought Bryan the kind of popularity he received the first time he was being underutilized, it would just be another sad example of trying to manufacture something which is nowhere near as effective as letting things develop naturally. I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan to win it. If this rivalry hangs on for a single SmackDown beyond Money in the Bank, it would speak volumes. So I'm just going to park it here. Daniel Bryan gets the win. MF, this is one of the few low points of the SmackDown side of things coming into Sunday night.
Oh, without a doubt. And I totally agree with everything you just said. Look, I get what they're trying to do. They want to prop up Big Cat because, he just made a big return. And this is one of those guys that Vince likes, big monsters, big time heels. He likes the bigger, stronger dudes, not the scrawny, shorter men. And, this is Rey Mysterio treatment. Daniel Bryan had to with the adversity once before, a few years ago. And it kind of is one of those things where at the end of the day, obviously it's one of those where you want to push, you're pushing, but there's nothing there. Big Cass is not good on the mic and doesn't really have that many good interview skills. His ring ability is limited. I think they made a mistake. Honest to God, I think they made a huge mistake with him going solo, trying to think that he was going to be a big thing. I think by breaking him up with Enzo Amore, I think they made a huge mistake WWE wise. Now, Daniel Bryan, of course, they're trying to be protective of him because of the fact of the injuries and everything else. And, they don't want him to get too badly injured, but they're working on him. And the thing is that they're slow burning him. And it's the wrong thing. You saw how great of a match he just had recently with Shelton Benjamin. Let the reins off. WWE, Daniel Bryan is fine. He is okay. I understand you're trying to protect him because of the concussions. I get it. But he is being a lot more protected than he really should be protected. Give him the opportunity. Just cut him a little more slack because this guy is amazing. I mean, we've talked about how great of a match he had with Shelton Benjamin on the last Cerebral Smack Talk on Wednesday night. We gave it 4 stars. We gave it Fight of the Night. Come on. Daniel Bryan wins. Nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, go.
Yeah, I got Daniel Bryan winning as well, and I agree with everything you said. I mean, Big Cass is bad on the mic. His wrestling skills is pretty much left to be desired, and I agree. WWE made a mistake when they decided to make him a singles guy. They should have stuck him as a tag team guy. And Daniel Bryan, I mean, I don't know why WWE's protecting him. This guy's fine. I mean, let the guy go. Let him have his awesome matches. I mean, look, just like the one we saw with Shelton Benjamin this past Tuesday night. I mean, he's fine. And for some, I mean, I can understand because of the concussions, but damn it, WWE, let him go and let him be the man that we all expect him to be. And as a member of the Yes Movement, or the vice president of the Yes Movement, and Florio being the president of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement, to WWE, how I feel about the way they're overprotecting him. No, 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 no. Dee Woodson is yours.
Yeah, this is another one that's past go home, go away, do not come back, do not pass go straight to jail. I don't care what you want, how you want to say it. It's another one that just, it's way past lived its expectancy. You know, back when we had the draft, you know, they said Daniel Bryan wanted Miz on SmackDown. And as Florio said earlier, we have yet to see that yet. Why did we have Miz come to SmackDown if it wasn't a feud with Daniel Bryan? Get Cass out of this crap and let's get a half decent match going on here.
Get the Miz in there.
Yeah, that would be a lot better.
That's the one we've all been waiting to see. And for some reason, WWE is ignoring it.
Well, no, it's not that they're ignoring it. It's that they're protecting it for SummerSlam. That's your second biggest pay-per-view of the year. I don't give a damn how this gets here, but WWE has a plan. They don't want to throw it right away because you don't want to throw all the eggs in the hat right away and then give us a prolonged storyline. I get what they're trying to do, and I get it. But we all know what are the biggest events of the year that we need to focus on. SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble, Mania. Those are the major 4. So right now, this is a B-level pay-per-view. I honestly don't mind what WWE's doing. I get it that a lot of people are upset about it, but get over it. That's what I say about it. You'll get your payoff at SummerSlam.
All right, Stevie, what's in your thoughts?
After all the interruptions, I think I lost my train of thought. Oh boy. Yeah, I still think anything would have been better than Cass. I mean, it is time now, you know, to start building a feud for SummerSlam. And, you know, this feud has to end, and it has to end with this match. And I think we need to just get rid of it. I don't know which match will probably be worse, the Lashley Zayn match or this one, but one of these two more than likely will be at the bottom of the barrel, or both of them. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm going with everybody else and going with Daniel Bryan. So let's just move on since this turned into total chaos.
Oh, it's about to turn into even more total chaos here. Another match from the Monday Night Raw side of things. You thought it couldn't get any worse than Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn? Well, it just might here. based on crowd reaction, that is. Get ready for maybe one of the biggest poo-poo jobs you'll ever see, when the big dog Roman Reigns squares off against the modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal. MF, I mean, get ready for the biggest poo-poo the crowd will ever. Just imagine this. It's the IWC capital of the world, for goodness sake. Chicago, Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal. You always say how, we like to poo-poo all over things. Well, MF, as we start this with you, Roman and Jinder, that crowd is going to literally poo-poo and crucify this match to the smithereens.
Oh man, I could already hear the CM Punk chants ringing out in Chicago. Both guys suck. There might even be some words I can't even repeat on the show because this is a PG show. So unfortunately, I can't say those type of words. But I'm thinking them in the top of my head right now. But yeah, definitely the worst fight possibly of the entire card. Nobody cares about Roman Reigns. Nobody cares about Jinder Mahal. I don't even know why they threw this fight on us, but it is what it is. Maybe just to give Roman a little something to do down the line, but again, nobody really cares. Roman will probably win the match, much to the chagrin of much to the delight of nobody, much to the chagrin of everybody. So I got nothing more to say. Bullock, go.
Yeah, I'm not even going to waste my time on this. Roman Reigns wins. Dee Woodson, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. Yeah, this is another one past, just the feud that just doesn't need to be here. It's just another stupid match. So, but this also proves we've had 2 Raw matches that we've predicted so far, and both of them have been lousy. And this kind of shows you how Raw has gone for the last month. So, Fulio, I hope your show gets better after this pay-per-view. You're up.
You have no idea how badly Monday Night Raw needs to hit that reset button, a la the old NES. That's all I can say. Just like with an old school Nintendo Entertainment System or whatever, that thing needs a reset button more than in the worst possible way. Believe that. You couldn't be any more right about that, Dee Woodson. You're absolutely spot on. But, we'll get into that down the road. But for right now, if the goal is to make fans at Raw and pay-per-view events cheer Roman Reigns by default against the overwhelmingly unpopular Jinder Mahal, results thus far have been mixed. Reigns continues to sit in purgatory following his controversial Greatest Royal Rumble loss to Brock Lesnar because Lesnar hasn't been around once to respond. If you thought fan reaction to WrestleMania and Greatest Royal Rumble was bad, wait until you hear what happens maybe as far as Brooklyn and the Barclays Center, should they decide to try to squeeze one more match out of this rivalry. But nonetheless, I got Roman Reigns winning. If this goes any other way, we'll get more from Reigns versus Mahal, which does neither man or any of us any favors. So we're just going to park it here. And now we're going to move on to the Monday Night Raw matches that have potential to be something good. And when it comes to the Raw side of things, this is the Raw match I'm looking most forward to, and I know MF is as well. Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line. The champion, Seth Rollins, defending the title against Elias. Michael Bullock, we started off with you. The IWC in Chicago, they're going to poo-poo over Reigns and Jinder. But for these two, completely different story. This crowd is going to be white hot for this fight.
Oh, yeah, this crowd's going to be white hot for this fight. And, I mean, both guys, I think they're going to get a huge reaction. I just don't know who it's going to be for more. Could it be for Seth Rollins or could it be for Elias? But, I mean, Seth Rollins has had a really good run with the Intercontinental title, and Elias, I mean, I'll tell you what, he continues to get better and better every single time. I mean, some people believe they think this is Elias's time, but I don't think he's quite ready to hold the title just yet. Maybe he needs a little bit more seasoning, and then it'd be time to put a title around him. But for right now, I got the Architect, Seth Rollins retaining the Intercontinental Championship, and Elias. I mean, well, Seth Rollins, he's about to burn it down. D.D. Woodson, it's yours.
Definitely Seth Rollins in this match. Elias is another one that most everybody knows I'm not a big fan of. Don't like his music, don't like his character. I mean, yeah, he can wrestle, I'll give him that much, but I just don't like the guy. The former Drifter, as he was called when he first came on Raw. I'm not gonna say too much more about this. I'm not even going. This is Raw's biggest title right now, since the other title is pretty much non-existent. So, Seth Rollins retains and keeps the high momentum going. So that's about all I'm going to say about it. Florio, go for it.
Before his recent interlude of trying to lift Roman Reigns up in the minds of fans and guitar smashing with Elias, Seth Rollins was on the biggest roll in ages in the WWE. From his hour-long gauntlet performance to multiple matches with Finn Balor and The Miz, to multi-way matches that also featured Samoa Joe, every time out, Rollins had a different match that was endlessly entertaining while also building upon what came before it. When it comes to Sunday night, well, it's simple. This is the biggest match of Elias's career, and an opportunity to prove that he can be as big a player in the ring as he can be on the microphone. It's sink or swim, and while it seems unlikely that Rollins will see his title reign fizzle out just yet, this match is another chance to make both guys look better at the end than they did walking in. I agree. I too have Seth Rollins successfully defending the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, though if the Money in the Bank briefcase heads over to SmackDown Live, there's an outside chance of maybe Seth Rollins pushing Braun Strowman out as Brock Lesnar's next Universal title challenger. That's some food for thought to think about. But nonetheless, I got Seth Rollins winning this match. This is a Tony and Mikey special here, or an Anthony and MF special here, because, I have been very high on Seth Rollins ever since that Gauntlet performance. And he has been our workhorse. He's been our soldier on Monday Night Raw. He's been the frontline soldier on Monday Night Raw. And quite frankly, if we had lost him to SmackDown Live, Raw would have been completely and utterly dead. That's all I can say about that. He is the glue that keeps Monday Night Raw, hanging in there. Him and Braun Strowman, honestly, and Finn Balor. So, really, nothing more for me to say on this. Winner and still Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, the King Slayer, Seth Rollins, MF. Like I said, this is our special here. I mean, I'm the Seth Rollins guy. You're the only one of us who's high on Elias. But man, can you imagine what this crowd is gonna do? This IWC Capital of the World crowd for these two? Whoa.
This is gonna be probably the best fight of the Monday Night Raw card at Money in the Bank. This is gonna steal the show in my mind. Elias has been getting better week in and week out, and now he's gonna have the ultimate test. Winter comes early, even though we're in the blazing hot heat of the summer, and we're gonna definitely come. But if you guys know Game of Thrones on HBO, Jon Snow is known as the King of the North. I think we can say that Seth Rollins is now the king of the WWE and the king of Monday Night Raw. No pun intended, but he is. the Intercontinental Champion. Definitely has been really good. Actually, been not just really good. He's been great. He's been the MVP of Monday Night Raw. And definitely, if we had the year-end awards, definitely Seth Rollins has to be a candidate for Superstar of the Year. That's how good he's been. As far as one of the bright spots of Monday Night Raw, yes, WWE has indeed been Walk with Elias. And he has been proving himself week in and week out, getting better. And let me tell you, imagine what he's going to do with that crowd in Chicago. You know the crowd loves him. You know the IWC loves him. So they're gonna rally around him. He's gonna have to do some kind of juju to piss them off. I don't know. Talk crap about the Chicago Bears? Well, no, you can't really do the Bears. That's too easy. I don't know. Talk crap about the Blackhawks, how they stunk this year, how they had a down year in hockey. Go after the Cubs. That'll definitely get a few people. Well, no, then you got the North Sider. The South Siders will probably be happy with you. I don't know. You're going to have to do something to really irk them, to really piss them off. So you're going to have to do something pretty big. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to have to do. Maybe say LeBron's better than Jordan. That'll do it. You're going to have to do something. So I don't know. We'll see. Whatever the case may be, this is going to be a definite phenomenon, and this is definitely becoming a really exciting match. The storyline's been great, you know, that with the guitar hits and the whole 9 yards lately. That's been really amping up the rivalry. Definitely, in my eyes, it's been amping up the rivalry. So I don't know what we're gonna get out of this. This is gonna be one hell of a match, to say the very least. Show stealer, definitely possible, but I truly believe that the Kingslayer, the leader of the Raw Army, should rise up one more time. Even though personally I would love to see a new champion here, but I don't think it's not his time yet. He's still got some ways away before he captures some gold. But I could see Seth Rollins is just that next guy where I know there's rumors about. Oh, there's quite a few rumors who he could fight next for the Intercontinental title. So they definitely want to keep the belt around them for a little while longer. At the end of the day, I think Seth Rollins should win and keep the gold. That's going to delight Anthony Florio, because we all know how much Rollins is like the heart and soul of Monday Night Raw for him. If you, like he said, if he loses that, bye-bye Raw. So nothing more to say. Anthony, back to you.
And we stay on Monday Night Raw. We're going to get into the Raw Women's Championship matchup. The champion, Nia Jax, defending the title against Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Edie Woodson, again, it falls on you. You're our women's wrestling expert here. Nia Jax, we all know, won the title at WrestleMania from Alexa Bliss. Does the Irresistible Force keep on rolling, or does the Rowdy one in her first singles match walk out with the gold?
For me, this was another one that's a little hard to judge, but honestly, I don't think it's Ronda's time to win, although, you know, right now she is the fans' favorite. But if she does win, I think it's going to be, you know, Natalya coming out helping, and it even could be a DQ finish where Nia Jax retains the title and Ronda wins. So no matter how you look at it, I think Nia is going to walk out with the title, whether she wins or not. That's up in the air, but I think she's at least going to retain. So I'm going to at least go with that. So I'll give it over to you, Florio.
What's left to be said that hasn't yet been said? After short-circuiting an instant and mindless swap between hero and villain for Nia Jax to suit making Rousey the hero, the last few weeks have been spent trying to more naturally build tension between champion and challenger. There have been rough bumps along the way as Rousey struggles to find herself on the microphone, but when it comes to aggression and getting it done in the ring, Rousey's actions speak louder than words. Without dramatic outside influences, it's hard to imagine an outcome that doesn't end with Rousey getting the win over Jax, just in time to plaster Rousey holding the Raw Women's Championship all over New York City in the lead up to SummerSlam. The narrative and execution in this match and over the next couple of months will tell us a lot about what kind of WWE performer Ronda Rousey will ultimately turn out to be. I think there's only one way this goes. I mean, Nia had a nice run. You know, she got her moment in the sun at long last at WrestleMania. She deserved every bit of it. And she, you know, got that Alexa Bliss monkey off her back. But as much as I respect her, and I do, I think it's got to be the Rowdy one. I think when it comes to this pay-per-view, we've had a lot of retainings. I think we're due for at least one title switch, and I think this is where we get it. There's nothing left for me to say on this except winner and the new Raw Women's Champion, Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Nothing more to say. MF, your thoughts on this big one?
I wish we did not do this match right now. I wish we would have done something different, because the theory I have in my head actually is gonna negate what you just said, Anthony, because I don't believe neither woman, Rowdy Ronda Rousey or Nia Jax, is walking out of Money in the Bank with the belt. I think something is gonna happen, but because of the fact that we're talking about it late now, obviously you kind of backed me into a corner. I'm going to agree that, yes, Ronda's going to win, but in the grand scheme of things, I do not believe Ronda Rousey is walking out of Chicago with the Raw Women's title. I'm sorry. Because of the placement of the fights, like I said, you backed me into a corner. So I have to predict a winner. I'm going to go with Ronda Rousey, but I have a scenario where I believe somebody else is walking out with the belt. But I'll get to that in a little bit. So, Florio, go. Or I should say Michael Bullock, go.
Yeah, that's okay, Fletch. You were just in your usual Fletcher hype man mode. You know, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I got Ronda Rousey winning and becoming the Raw Women's champion, but I agree. I mean, I got a feeling that she may not walk out with the title. I mean, I think something that have something to do with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match could come into play. We'll get into that once we get to it. So, nothing else to say. Let's move on, Florio.
And we move on to the main event of SmackDown Live's side of things. The last man standing match for the WWE Championship. The champion, the phenomenal AJ Styles, defending the title one more time against the King of the Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. We might have said it once or twice before, but this match is the point of no return between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. From the OK WrestleMania match and shocking Nakamura heel turn and attack to an unsatisfying Backlash rematch, from the hope of a strong match in Saudi Arabia that ended in an unsatisfying way, all the way to their best WWE match to date on SmackDown Live, it's all been leading up to this night. If Nakamura takes advantage of the stipulation and walks out as the WWE Champion, his rivalry with Styles can carry on and continue to build. it would be difficult to reach a point where the over-reliance on low blows early on in this rivalry could be fully justified. But making a master manipulator like Nakamura the champion with the upper hand on Styles could carry all the way to SummerSlam. Alternatively, if Styles walks out as champion, there's little doubt as to who has won this increasingly personal battle of wills. The Money in the Bank briefcase could come into play after a match this intense, which would dovetail nicely into all of the other screwy things that have happened thus far. But it would be a heavy underline in imagining what might have been had this rivalry had been more straightforward from the beginning. Every time I've gone against the Phenomenal One, I've gone on the record and said that Shinsuke Nakamura was going to win the title every time. But all 3 times, I was proven wrong. I cannot in good conscience go with Shinsuke Nakamura, even though my gut is telling me to. This is one time I'm not going to listen to my gut. I'm gonna say that the winner of this last man standing match, and still the WWE champion, the phenomenal AJ Styles. You know, Shinsuke can lick his wounds, win the WWE championship, and start something up with Daniel Bryan or Samoa Joe. Styles can battle the other, or perhaps The Miz, on the way to SummerSlam. Lots to think about. But nonetheless, I got the phenomenal AJ Styles successfully defending the WWE championship in what could be, and what I'm hoping will be, one of the greatest last man standing matches of all time. So, MF, the heart and soul, these two are your heart and soul on SmackDown Live, and
the best rivalry on SmackDown Live as well right now.
Main event.
Yeah.
You got
it don't get no bigger than this. I don't even need to use hype man mode. You already know the layout. AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, WWE Championship, last man standing. There's really nothing more to say. That's the ultimate payoff. And now, again, the fear of the Money in the Bank. What is that going to be like? How's that going to play out? Normally a last man standing match it's brutal. It is basically like it takes years off guys' careers, and not only that, but normally when you have a last man standing, you are exhausted. That unfortunately this is the worst match to have on a Money in the Bank card, because a street fight, a last man standing, you are a sitting duck for a Money in the Bank cash-in. I agree. AJ Styles wins the match and successfully defends the title. But I hate to say this, man, but I think we might have a new champion when this is all said and done. And I'll get into that in just a little bit, too. So, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I got AJ Styles winning this match as well. I mean, I think this could be a very, really good match here, to say the very least. And, yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more that needs to be said. AJ Styles wins the match, so let's just move on to let's move on, Florio. Oh, to D.D. Woodson. I'm sorry. Oopsie.
Not the first time. Probably won't be the last.
I was just about to say it probably won't be my last, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it unanimous. Say AJ Styles, but I'm kind of with MF. You know, there could be it could be somebody else walking out with a title, but I do think AJ will probably retain on at least through this match. So not much more I'm going to say about it. Now we can move on.
And now, my friends, it's time. It is time. It is now time for the Money in the Bank ladder matches. And we're going to start it off with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Alexa Bliss from Monday Night Raw Becky Lynch from SmackDown Live, Charlotte Flair from SmackDown Live, Ember Moon from Monday Night Raw, Lana from SmackDown Live, Naomi from SmackDown Live, Natalya from Monday Night Raw, and Sasha Banks from Monday Night Raw. MF, we're going to start it off with you here. Which lady? Will it be a Raw lady? Will it be a SmackDown Live lady? Who's walking out with the briefcase? Who's going to be the second Miss Money in the Bank?
This one's real easy for me. After all the storylines and everything that was playing out, the whole 9 yards, it's going to Monday Night Raw this time around. Raw will win the Money in the Bank for the women. And my pick to win it is the Queen of the Black Hearts, Natalya. I think she is prone. She will be in a perfect position. And not only that, but she's going to use that friendship of Ronda Rousey to backstab her and cash in on her on that night. When this is all said and done, gentlemen and lady, I believe it will be Natalya walking out with the Raw Women's title. Now, here's the reason why I'm saying this. Because I believe Money in the Bank will be early in the night. I think Natalya will win it. Then, after Ronda defeats Nia, Nia will go in a jealous rage. She will destroy Ronda Rousey. She will leave her in a heap. That will be good enough for Natalya to walk in with the referee, with the Money in the Bank contract. She cashes in right then and there, and she walks out of Chicago with the Raw Women's title because of the fact that they don't want to put that kind of emphasis on Ronda just yet. Ronda's going to get her moment, but they don't want her to be the face of Raw just yet. They're probably going to make her chase a little bit, just like they did with Roman Reigns. They gave him a taste of the belt, but then they took it right away. They want to give that. I think she'll get the ultimate payoff at WrestleMania. But right now, the best direction to do this is have Ronda win it, get destroyed, then have Natalya cash in. She takes the belt, and then have her run it for a little bit. And then we can go from there. Because why would they want to put Ronda and give Ronda the title at a B-level pay-per-view? It would make no sense. At least in my eyes. So, my prediction is the winner of the Money in the Bank is Natalya from Monday Night Raw. She will cash it in on that night, and she will win the Raw Women's title. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's your man. Who do you got winning the Raw or winning the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match?
Boy, that's tough, but after everything you just said, Fletch, I am going to agree with you, and I am going to go with Natalya to win this and become Miss Money in the Bank. And I agree with everything you just brought up, so there's really nothing more that needs to be said. So, Dee Woods, and I give it to you.
Yeah, my line of thinking kind of went with Fletch. If it isn't Natalya winning it, then more likely I would go with Becky Lynch for SmackDown. I did hear a rumor, and I'm just saying it's a rumor because I haven't confirmed it yet, that Charlotte Flair may not even be at the pay-per-view because of a breast implant thing. So I don't know if that's true or not. So I'm not going to say anything.
I've actually heard that rumor too. Right now they're saying she's 50-50.
Yeah,
is what I'm hearing.
So I don't even know if she's going to be in it or not. So if it goes SmackDown, I'm going Becky Lynch. If it goes Raw, then I'm going Natalya, and with the same scenario that Fletch said, because I'm pretty much, that was pretty much what I was thinking before he even opened his mouth. So I'm going to toss it over to Florio now.
Going into the match, honestly, going into it, my favorites were Alexa Bliss from Raw and Charlotte Flair from SmackDown Live. But this is the first I've actually heard about this Charlotte thing. I mean, that is news to me. I have not even had a sniff of this rumor, but I'm gonna have to look into that in a little bit. But nonetheless, just as it would be hard to top the men's Money in the Bank field, the women's Money in the Bank ladder match also boasts its fair share of heavy hitters. 6 of the 8 women in this match have held either the Raw or SmackDown Women's Championships. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair have won both titles, and relative newcomer Ember Moon was the NXT Women's Champion before moving to the Raw roster. But the differences between a winner from Raw or a winner from SmackDown Live couldn't be much more drastic. On the SmackDown Live side of things, the winner will either have to deal with a newly crowned champion in Asuka or Carmella, drastically different scenarios that will each offer very different options for the banner rivalry atop SmackDown Live heading towards SummerSlam. It would seemingly be a little too on the nose for Charlotte Flair to win and immediately revisit either of her previous animosities, but there would be a story to build upon. Either Naomi or Becky Lynch could believably tangle with either champion, while Lana, well, that would be quite the upset, just like Carmella last year. On the Raw side of things, the Women's Championship will almost assuredly be tied up with Ronda Rousey in some way. As long as WWE doesn't want to derail Rousey's momentum this early in the game, most Raw winners would likely play the long game, with one key exception. If Natalya manages to fight through the knee injury that's been played up in recent weeks, her role in the tensions between Rousey and Nia Jax could immediately set up for Rousey's first major rivalry. With all that being said, I agree. I have Natalya winning this match as well. While the Money in the Bank briefcase can be the start of a story or a device to kickstart a story at any point in the next year, there's only one woman who's had a particularly dynamic story leading into this match. It seems like Ronda Rousey is being hot-shotted to the title with her first dynamic story with Natalya already established. Whether it's a same-night cash-in or a slow degradation as champion and briefcase holder, this is the most logical way to organically bring balance between Ronda Rousey and the rest of the Raw roster. And I'm even going to give you a bonus here. I'm even going to give you my dark horse in this match, and that's Sasha Banks. After the WWE monumentally messed up a can't-miss rivalry between Sasha Banks and Bayley to the point where they abandoned it entirely, Sasha could use the shot in the arm. She has had some impressive showings in recent weeks, including Monday's Fatal 4-Way match and a one-on-one against Ruby Riott. Have her hold on to the briefcase for a while, rebuild her swagger, and then have her break someone's heart to reestablish Sasha Banks as the ruthless villain the Raw Women's Division truly needs. But Sasha is my dark horse, but ultimately, I agree. I'm going to say Natalya wins it, and I wouldn't be surprised if that scenario MF drop down us goes down. So there's really nothing more to say on that. And now we move on, folks, to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. This is where we end it right here. Bobby Roode from Monday Night Raw. Well, we actually have it in order. Representing Monday Night Raw, Bobby Roode, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Kevin Owens. Representing SmackDown Live, The Miz, Rusev, Samoa Joe, and a member of the New Day yet to be determined. Michael Bullock, we started with you. Who's walking out as the newest Mr. Money in the Bank?
Boy, this is a tough one here. I mean, there are a lot of options when it comes to who will walk out as Mr. Money in the Bank. I mean, do I go with Finn Balor? Do I go with The Miz, Samoa Joe, Rusev? Well, to me, I feel like there's one person I'm going to go with, and that is the monster among men, Braun Strowman, to become Mr. Money in the Bank. I mean, yeah, he had his moment at the Greatest Royal Rumble. winning that, but nothing comes bigger than this, and I think he's going to get his moment here. So, Braun Strowman wins. Dee Whitson, it's yours.
Yeah, this is a tough one to go with. But I'm going to kind of do like I did with the women. I'm going to give you my choice of if it goes SmackDown or if it goes Raw, because I don't really have a clue. But for me, I think it's either Strowman or Joe. But since I'm being choked up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and toss it.
The field of 8 for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match is as strong as any of the 20 previous editions of this high-stakes, high-risk match, and it should make for both a tremendous show and an incredible boost to the wrestler who walks out with the briefcase in hand. So how do we cut through all the hype to figure out who walks away with the guaranteed world title shot? We could try to read into who's already held the briefcase aloft in celebration. That Braun Strowman won the Fatal 4-Way match on Raw, or what happened on SmackDown Live. The truth is, you can make a logical case for any of the 7 confirmed participants in this match, and at least one member of the New Day to win. Strowman has to be the clear favorite because that all but locks in your SummerSlam main event against Brock Lesnar. Samoa Joe could write his one-way ticket to a match against AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. Former Universal Champions Finn Balor and Kevin Owens could either thrust themselves immediately back into the title picture on Raw or hang on to the briefcase and wait until the Lesnar era finally and mercifully comes to a close. After SmackDown Live got both briefcases last year, by virtue of Money in the Bank being a SmackDown exclusive event, it makes sense that at least one of the 2 briefcases will be Raw bound this year. The seemingly endless number of ways the Money in the Bank briefcase can be used as a tool makes it as dynamic an opportunity as WWE gets in a given year. It can be the cause of Bobby Roode's heel turn, an elevation to the upper echelon of Raw. It could allow WWE to cash in on Rusev's wave of popularity before it crashes due to indifference, further bolstering the already stacked SmackDown Live men's roster. Most dramatically, it could take a guy like Big E, who has done incredible things as part of the New Day, and make him the bona fide world title contender he has always had the potential to be, without breaking him away from Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and what's made him so popular. For once, even with 10 potential outcomes, there's very little chance for WWE to go wrong, no matter who ends up winning. But once that winner pulls the briefcase down, the pressure is on. As much as I want to see a Raw guy win it, and as much as I would love to see Strowman win it, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to want to even the score. I think SmackDown Live's going to get the briefcase. And I know this guy has held it before, but we've had multiple winners before. And I think this guy will be that next multiple winner. You know, CM Punk's won a couple, he won it back-to-back years at WrestleMania's 24 and 25. Edge technically is a 2-time winner because, they had to put him over Mr. Kennedy because Mr. Kennedy suffered a legitimate injury that caused him to relinquish the briefcase or lose it to Edge in a match. And so there's nothing left for me to say here. I'm going to surprise a lot of people here. I'm actually going to go with The Miz to win this thing. What better way to utilize the most calculating superstar on SmackDown Live than to give him the ultimate opportunity? Putting the briefcase in his hands ultimately gives him the keys to the kingdom on Tuesday nights, adding a chaotic energy to everything that comes after Money in the Bank. And as for my dark horse, Big E Langston is my dark horse. The other 7 men in this match could find their way into a world title rivalry organically, but the briefcase would make Big E a force to be reckoned with right out of the gate. And it would also give the New Day another prop to play with. But ultimately, like I said, as much as I would love to see Raw win both of these things, especially Braun Strowman, or even Finn Balor, for goodness sakes, because, he never got his fair shot at a Universal title rematch. I'm going to surprise a lot of people, like I said, and I'm going to go with SmackDown Live's Miz to walk away with the briefcase for a second time. And imagine him with that briefcase. You thought he was calculating in 2010, just when he was on Raw. Imagine how calculating he'll be on SmackDown Live 8 years later. That's all I can say on that. If I'm wrong, hey, I'm wrong. But I felt froggy, and I decided to jump. So nothing more to say. MF, who's going to be the newest Mr. Money in the Bank?
Samoa Joe. Straight up. This guy is poised for a big run. He hasn't even had a chance to be a champion yet in WWE, which is an absolute travesty in itself. And, you know, this guy was a former NXT champion. I don't believe he's ever won any major singles title yet in on WWE. If maybe I might be wrong, Anthony. Has he?
Not yet.
IC Intercontinental? No, he's never won any title. He's been NXT champion. He's due. He's due for a title run. He's due for the moment. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go, and and at the end of the day, I'm gonna go with it. I got Samoa Joe winning the Money in the Bank, and I think he will be the one to unseat AJ Styles as the next WWE champion. So nothing more to say, and we move on. So Florio, let's put a bow on it.
There's no question about it. NXT is going to be far and away the better show. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So let's take a quick let's get a quick poll here. Edie Woodson, I want to get a quick thought from you. We already know NXT is going to be a cut above the rest, but what's like your early projection rating for Takeover Chicago and Money in the Bank?
Well, as we all know, most of the time when we have two pay-per-views back-to-back with NXT and a WWE event, usually NXT ends up being the better event. So I'm looking at maybe a 9 and a 9.5, bordering on 10 for NXT, and probably 7.5 to 8 maybe for Money in the Bank, depending upon how those three matches that we're not looking forward to go. If we're surprised that they actually end up being something pleasant, then I will, I'll go with a higher rating. If not, I would say, the lower 7.5 or whatever rating. So not much more I had to say about it. I hand it back to you.
It's not often I do this, but I'm going to pull the trigger. When it comes to NXT TakeOver Chicago, it's the most stacked TakeOver card I've ever seen. There is not one bad match on this card. All 5 of them have the potential to be show stealers. I'm going to go with between 9.5 to the perfect 10. No question about it. NXT TakeOver Chicago 2 is going to absolutely deliver. I am very much looking forward to that event tomorrow night. Money in the Bank, however, it's basically a 4-match show for me, if I'm going to be real honest with you. The women's matches, both women's matches, I feel in the middle and iffy about. There are those 3 matches, Daniel Bryan, Big Cass, Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn, and Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal, that I am not excited about whatsoever. Those 3 all have potential to be duds. And you know that IWC mad crowd in Chicago, the IWC capital of the world, they're going to absolutely poo-poo all over Roman and Jinder. Let's not kid ourselves. Like I said, those 3 matches are rather meh. The 2 women's matches I'm iffy about. But like I said, it's a 4-match pay-per-view. There are only 4 matches on this card I'm extremely looking forward to. Both Money in the Bank ladder matches, obviously. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura's last man standing match for the WWE Championship, and Seth Rollins and Elias for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Those 4 matches alone have potential to be show stealers in itself. The 2 women's matches in the middle and those 3 dud fights, I'm looking at maybe 6 to 7 out of 10, if I'm being honest with you for that. So it's between 6 and 7 for Money in the Bank, but for NXT TakeOver Chicago, 9.5 to a perfect 10. MF, quick projection ratings from you.
I could give about 9 to 9.5 for the NXT Takeover Chicago. I think that's a very safe bet. That is going to be a wicked high number. As far as the Money in the Bank goes, I'm gonna go 6.5 to 7. I think I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt because I truly believe the SmackDown side of the Money in the Bank card is actually gonna win the day, except for the Seth Rollins Elias. I think that fight's gonna stand out. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, that's gonna be your Raw fight of the night, at least on the entire card. I think the Money in the Bank matches should be good. I hope we get some surprises, winners and whatnot. And I hope that, I would like to see a surprise or two, but we'll wait and see what happens. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think that's basically the way we're gonna go. 6.5 to 7 for the Money in the Bank, 9 to 9.5 for NXT. And Mike Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, the NXT Takeover Chicago will be 9 to 9.5 for me. All the matches will definitely be stacked. Going to be good. And then when it comes to Money in the Bank, I'll give it about 6.5 to 7 as well. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to be said. Didi Woodson, no, not Didi Florio. Now we can put a ball on this edition of our preview.
Yes, and that's exactly what we are going to do. We are going to put the bow on this very special edition of the Wrestling Forum. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, we will see you all. We'll next see you all on Sunday night, immediately following the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. We'll see you over on MF's channel, BraceFan95, as he will host the recap of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And then hop back over here on the Tone 25 Monday night, immediately following Monday Night Raw for another edition of Ridiculously Raw, where we'll sort out all of the fallout from Money in the Bank on the Raw side, as we will come to you from the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And of course, I'll also have my Tony's take on 205 Live and Impact Wrestling as usual. And then Tuesday night, go back over to MF's channel, BraceFan95, as we will have another installment of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We'll review the SmackDown Live fallout from Money in the Bank. And we'll see if MF has a Mikey's Mindset in store for us. And then, of course, next Friday night, we will be back to our traditional Strictly Sports broadcast. Derek will, I'm sure, have the docket ready for us come Monday night. I have a hunch of what it could be, but we'll just wait and see once Derek posts the official docket, and then I'll let you all know what that will be next Friday night. So that's it. So until Sunday night for our recap of Money in the Bank with MF on BraceFan95, it's your ridiculously over good brother Anthony Florio here. For good old MF Michael Fletcher, for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and the Twisted Angel and First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Didi Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. And of course, in spirit, the one and only Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. And until Sunday night for the recap, you've been watching this very special edition of the Wrestling Forum, our preview of NXT TakeOver Chicago 2 and the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view right here on the Tone 25 and YouTube.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.